Disney's Descendants arrived at Tread the Boards, and today we're talking with one of the cast members from this production, Elise Enerson. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, it's great to be here.
So the show opened last night. What was it like to finally bring Disney's Descendants, the musical, to audiences?
Oh my gosh, it was so exciting. Opening night is always a little bit like that's where all of the kinks finally get worked out, you know what I mean? So after Tech Week
Yeah.
and after working with this cast and the show for so long, it was so great to finally see everything get put together and just everyone leaving it all out there. It was just amazing. And I've done Descendants before, so I've obviously been familiar with the production. And I was just so excited to do it playing a different character and seeing different parts of it and how everything fits together. It was just so much fun.
That is so cool that you got to come back and do it again. And you had mentioned before that you're actually a college freshman. So getting to come back to do it now that you're in college, I mean, that has to be such a cool return to the story.
It really is. I did it my junior year of high school and I was Cruella DeVille. So it wasn't like an entirely different role. I was still like an evil parent. But also seeing how different people play the character differently, because both of our Cruellas, they are both amazingly talented and they bring so much to the part. But of course, no two people are going to do it the same way. So seeing how they do it versus how I did it, it's just so interesting. And I knew Laura before. She was the assistant director for a Clarkson Village Players show, Hairspray. And I was Edna Turnblad. And that was about a year ago. And I
That's
was just so
awesome.
excited to get to work with her again. She worked with a middle school in my school district, but I never got to work with her myself until last year. It's just been so great getting to know her, and she's so lovely.
So those who are maybe not familiar with the story of what Descendants is, what's kind of going on in this Disney's Descendants?
So, Disney's Descendants is about the children of heroes and villains from classic Disney stories like Sleeping Beauty, Beauty and the Beast, Cinderella. So, the main character is Mal, the daughter of Maleficent. And she and her other friends, who are Evie, which is the daughter of Evil Queen, Jay, the son of Jafar, and Carlos, the son of Cruella de Vil, they all live on the Isle of the Lost, along with the rest of the villains. And their kingdom counterpart is Oridon. And they're invited to go live in Oridon and attend school and get a chance to redeem themselves, prove themselves worthy of no longer living on the Isle. But Maleficent sees this as an opportunity to take over Oridon. So she tells Mal and her friends to go steal Fairy Godmother's wand and bring it back so that Maleficent can rain evil down. But Mal eventually, she realizes that maybe she doesn't want to be evil and maybe she doesn't want to be like her mother. So the story just kind of follows her journey with herself and figuring out who she is and who she wants to be. And yeah, it's a very sweet, heartwarming story, but also pretty lighthearted, and it's pretty funny at times.
I remember watching this all the time with my nephew. This is such a fun, this is based off a Disney film, and this is such a fun Disney film. It's kind of giving that Wicked vibes. It's kind of giving the telling a story that you never really seen before, like a twisted tale almost. And
Yeah.
I think it's such a cool way to kind of introduce audiences to some of these characters, but also the offspring of these characters and giving them their own story, their own original
Yeah.
characters get to have their own little arc, which is so awesome.
I completely agree. It's I've always loved the Disney villains. Like even when I was a baby, I would be watching all of the princess movies and I'd just be so in love with all of the villains. I thought they had the coolest storylines. They're always so funny. Their songs are always great. Like I'm thinking of Scar from The Lion King, Be Prepared, such a classic. So and because I've been doing theater since I was 5 years old and I'm 18 now, every single show that I've done, I've wanted to be the villain because they're just so much fun. And it's a lot of fun to play the villain because most of us, not everybody, but most of us don't really act that way in our regular lives. So it's fun to explore that part of our personalities and just act a way that we're not used to.
And speaking of villains, you get to play the villain. You get to play Maleficent. What is that like?
Maleficent is a very, very interesting character because she's portrayed in so many different ways. Like Maleficent in the original Disney classic versus like the live action Maleficent with Angelina Jolie and the Descendants Maleficent, they're all so different, but in the end they are all the same person. So just being able to put a spin on such a classic character, um like with my own sense of humor, my own personality, it's just been like such an honor, and it's so fun because I take inspiration from all of these different variations, but I get to be myself as well.
For sure. So where do you begin kind of that developmental process from bringing your character from the page to the stage, especially because, as you mentioned before, this is Kristen Chenoweth played this in the film. So like
Yeah.
getting to be that, like, how do you also put your spin on that character?
I'm not gonna lie to you. A lot of it is inspired by Kristen Chenoweth just because she's just so talented. Um, but obviously we are
Sure.
very different people. I mean, in real life, I consider myself a really outgoing person. I don't take things too seriously. So I kind of brought that into the character as well. But like taking Maleficent's backstory and who she is and her motives for Descendants, and then just mixing it all up and then being myself at the same time. That's kind of how my version of the character was born. Because I like to let my personality shine through my characters, but still keeping it true to
Sure.
who the character really is.
What is it? What do you think is something that people maybe don't understand about Maleficent?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think they don't realize that Maleficent kind of does have layers. Because towards the end of Descendants, um Mal Maleficent comes to Oridon, spoiler alert, and she has a confrontation with her daughter. And Mal goes on this speech saying, like, who have you ever loved besides yourself? And Maleficent just goes with it. She's like, exactly. But there's also times in the story where I feel Maleficent does show care for her daughter. She does show, like, love to her in a way, in her own way, because of course she is still evil, but she does have a
Right.
place in her heart for her daughter. You know what I mean? And I feel like no one would really guess that because when
Sure.
you think of Maleficent, you don't think of like maternal, nurturing character. And of course, she still isn't really in Descendants, but she does have a little part of her that is.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's what I love about Maleficent as a character because I think you see a little bit in the Angelina Jolie film too, where there's that maternal instinct. Then she does care for Male. It's just maybe not the way we expect her to.
Yeah, because she wants Mal to be like her. And Maleficent loves herself so much. And the fact that she wants Mal to be like her, of course, it's narcissism at its finest, but also I feel like she's just in her own way wants the best for her daughter, but she has her little twisted sense of reality.
Yeah, absolutely. So with this being a musical, and obviously the film has quite a bit of music to it as well, and like what songs or numbers are your favorite from Descendants?
Of course, Evil Like Me is my absolute favorite. It honestly always has been, even when I just watched Descendants the movie. But Evil Like Me is just such a great
Sure.
song. Trying to think of other songs that aren't mine. I really, really
I
love
mean, there's so many
Space
incredible
Between.
ones.
Oh yeah. I really love Space Between. It's so beautiful and all of our Mals and Eevees just give so much to it and there's so much heart. And up until then, you see these characters as villains and rough around the edges. And then you see this moment of vulnerability between these two girls and it's just so sweet. Um I also really like If Only, kind of for the same reason, because we think of this character as hardened and we're seeing her breaking down a little bit and thinking, oh, maybe I don't want to follow in my mother's footsteps. But also, just musically, they're amazing songs. They're just so lovely to listen to. And all of our performers are so, so talented vocally.
I mean, those are some great numbers. I mean, again, the music of Descendants is so, you know, it's Disney Channel iconic. You know what I mean? It's really made a
Yeah.
name for itself in like the nowadays that I can't, I can listen to this as a soundtrack over and over and over again. So I can only imagine how that translates to the stage.
Yeah, because there's a couple extra songs that aren't in the movies. Like for example, there's an Evil Like Me reprise at the end when Maleficent makes her big entrance. Um, a lot of the songs are kind of twisted from the movie. So for example, It's Good to Be Bad. I think that's from Descendants 3. I'm not entirely sure, but that becomes
Sure.
goal um on the stage musical, and that's when Jay and Carlos are realizing that they maybe love sports and they like playing on teams. There's also Good as the New Bad, which was a song from a Descendants spin-off TV show. I was a big Descendants fan, so I know all of this. But they changed the lyrics to mean something a little bit different. Um, but yeah, I all of the musical numbers are great, which honestly, what else can you expect from Disney Channel?
Correct, right. And it's cool though that they're incorporating some other songs. I mean, again, you want to make this a full show. The movie itself is fantastic, but like for a stage production, you want it to have its own identity. So for them to be able to work some of those pieces in gives Descendants the musical its own vibe, you know?
Yeah, and it's like a little amalgamation of all three of the main films because I know there's the newer ones without Mal, J, Evie, and Carlos in it, but the first three films, like it kind of brings them all together and makes them into one story, and it's honestly such a great storyline as well.
Sure, absolutely. How do you feel like this show has challenged you or helped you grow as a performer?
Honestly, it was a bit challenging at first because vocally, it's a very difficult role to perform vocally.
Sure.
So I was honestly really scared coming into it. Of course, Maleficent is the character that I wanted, and it's, if I'm being totally honest, it was the character that I wanted 2 years ago when I did the show. So just I was kind of in my own head for a while. And
Sure.
honestly, I think you could tell in my performance and like my execution of my lines that I was not feeling very comfortable with how I was portraying the character. But in the last couple weeks, I was able to kind of let that go because I've been performing like my entire life, basically. Um, so the
Hmm.
last thing I want to do is let my own head get in the way. So I was able to let that go. And I grew vocally because I am now able to sing the songs that I wasn't able to a couple months ago. And I just kind of got better at not getting in my own way.
That could be tough though to get out of your own way and let yourself just be the character when like if so much build up to wanting to be this character and then to finally get it like that's a barrier.
Yeah, and after seeing so many different people portray this character, because I've seen other community theaters do this show, and the girl that performed as Maleficent 2 years ago in my high school, she was so talented. And then Kristen Chenoweth, of all people, originated this role. So I'm feeling so intimidated going into this. But once I let that go, I feel like I was able to shine even brighter than I was before.
That's such a beautiful answer. Um, with this show, there are a lot of deep themes, and it sounds like you said there's an amalgamation going on of maybe of the first three films. So, what themes do you feel like really resonate with you from Descendants the musical?
Honestly, I think I have to like figure out a way to word this. I think one theme that really sticks with me is figuring out who you are regardless of how you grew up, how like who your parents want you to be, what you were exposed to, and just being your own person and who you yourself want to be and what you yourself believe. Um because my parents are so lovely. They are nothing like Maleficent. um, but of course, everyone has their own expectations for their kids, and people grow up certain ways, and sometimes they have to go against that. And that's something that I dealt with growing up. So that's a big theme in the show that kind of stuck with me a little bit.
Absolutely, and that's such a beautiful theme from this too. I think that's probably one a lot of people your age probably relate to. I could see why that's such an important theme. Why you're picking that up. Absolutely.
Comparatively, my situation is way more low stakes than Mal's is. So, kind of seeing this character be able to stand up to her terrifying mom, who is the mistress of evil, the most horrible person of all, seeing her stand up to that, like, makes me feel seen, but also kind of makes me feel like it could be so much worse. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, absolutely. So then just one final question for you is just what are you hoping audiences take away from this performance of Disney's Descendants?
Honestly, I just hope whoever comes to see it has so much fun watching it. I know everybody, all of the cast members just love playing their parts. They love being a part of this show. It's a fun show at its core. Like, of course, there's some deep themes, but I mean, there's amazing musical numbers. We put so much work into dance. I mean, I'm looking at some of these kids who had like no dance experience at all, and they're going on stage and just leaving it all out there, and they look amazing. So I just hope they have fun with it. They just enjoy all of the work that we put in. And yeah, I'd say that's about it.
That's awesome. And I hope that they do. This is you're right. This is such a fun show. People should just turn out, have a good time, have a little moment to just enjoy the show and the music and the incredible talent and just enjoy it.
Yeah. And it's so funny. Like, there's everyone has like amazing comedic timing. So I just hope everyone has a good laugh.
Well, thank you so much for being here, Lisa. It's been such a pleasure talking with you. And again, we're so excited that the show
Yeah,
has
you
arrived to
too.
tread the boards.
Yes, I'm so excited. I've only performed in one show. I got 3 to go. One's just about to start. We're about to do the green room meeting. So I'm very excited to see how the rest of the
Oh,
shows go. And I hope more people come see it.
so Disney's Descendants is running at Tread the Boards through April 26th. So get your tickets now and we'll see you at the show.
Thank you so much.